welcome to Tales from the Tips. I'm DA, alongside 15-year Tour Caddy Mick Middlemo. We're just a couple of guys that love to talk about the game of golf, both inside and outside the ropes or in a truck, but we come at it from a different perspective. Mick,
How are you, buddy?
that was insane.
You know, the funny part is that I'm looking at you. You're sitting in your car doing this because it was too loud inside that wonderful restaurant, Twin Peaks, which everyone should go to. I'd love to be there. Very busy night there by the sounds of it. But 6 months ago, we were sitting in a beautiful studio in Atlanta with our own studio, with our own sound guys and stuff like that. We're doing it now. You're in your truck and I'm at my dad's house.
Yeah, we've come a long way.
Yeah.
Good news is Slim's here. He's just doing big boy YouTube stuff for the radio station. I guess it's some NFL draft night, something like that. Have you heard of this?
We know Mendoza's going to go number one, and the Hawks don't, and the Falcons don't have a pick, so it doesn't matter.
Right, but the Lions do have 17.
Yeah, well, you take a wide receiver like the old days.
Hey, we're so beyond the old days. Come on.
No, you still.
I've got you in a photo of a Lion shirt, so don't even say that you're not a fan.
Yeah, no, I'm not a fan. I represent every now and then.
I
have a lot of hats to choose from.
You do. Look at that. Is that Dad's collection?
That's Dad's collection, and they're not just one. They're not just one hats either. They're just there's 3 or 4 behind every hat.
They are layered back.
Yeah. There's like 3 or 4 layered on every shelf. Some more, some have more.
Wow. Well, we also it's also a busy night. The Atlanta Hawks are taking on some team from New York tonight. And right now, by the looks of it, we're leading by 10. So
14.
Yeah. Oh, well, maybe that TV's ahead or behind. I don't know.
Well, I'm in Australia too, so it might take the telecast a little longer.
Okay. So there's also some golf going on. The tour boys are down in New Orleans at the Zurich. A little team play, Mick.
Which I enjoy.
Here's the thing. We're gonna talk about Matt Fitzpatrick last week at the RBC Heritage. Holds off Scotty to claim his second RBC Heritage jacket. Stuart Sink, our guy, goes off on Sunday and wins the senior PGA major. We've got
my boy had a top 10.
Listen. That's in the notes when we get into that. Greg played outstanding. I was going to ask you. We're gonna talk about what your thoughts were on Greg. The LPGA is teeing it up for its first major at the Chevron. And, oh, by the way, Mick, all 3 of our baseball teams are playing really well.
7 in a row, baby.
8 now, buddy.
Cubs 8 in a row. We beat the Phillies today.
It's always good when you beat the Phillies.
Yeah, I know. We swept. That's a 4-game sweep of the Phillies.
That's beautiful. So, sir, if you're ready with all this.
I'm ready.
Let's grip it and rip it. Okay, buddy. You ready for this? We're going to start in Hilton Head.
Nice weather.
Well, that, and that's what I wanted to really, literally the first note on my sheet, the weather shift. Early starters like your guy, Jason Day, fire mid 60s in calm morning air. And then by the afternoon, I was going to say the wind basically did a 180. Let me ask you this off the sound. Mick, when guys like Scotty, Fitzy, I'm not bringing up JT. Neither JT played very well. We'll get into that. But how do you handle a pro when you're on the range, you warm up, conditions are somewhat calm, you get out there and all of a sudden things go south?
Well, most of the time you know it's coming. So you're usually prepared for it. You know, you have the weather guys on the tour are really really good, so you know it's coming. So you get yourself mentally prepared. Very rarely do you have just like a pop up out of nowhere storm that comes through, and if you do, it's usually lightning and thunder, so you're off the golf course anyway. So the conditions don't really change that much. But when you know the wind is going to switch, and it's going to get colder, and the wind is going to start blowing 30, you're mentally prepared for it. You know it's coming. And obviously, some players feel slighted because the morning players had a great draw, and now look at us. We're in the afternoon. I've never met a player who had a good draw. They all say they get bad draws. But every one of
Well,
them says, "Oh, look at me! I always get the bad side of the draw." Because invariably, that does happen. There is a good side and bad side of the draw. It will happen.
oh,
Some days,
absolutely.
you get out in the morning. I've had days where you go out in guys go off in the morning, and then the afternoon guys get killed, and then the afternoon guys get morning the next day, and the morning's horrible, and then the afternoon's good. So, it happens in waves. But normally you're mentally prepared for it. You're ready to go. It's like, okay, it's going to be difficult. So we just have to hang on there.
So with that though, because Harbortown's a very narrow golf course. We talked about this last week
Yeah.
on the podcast. What are some of the things that you're doing? Like, I don't, I mean, Candy, I wouldn't be able to tell you if Greg or Brendan or Jared, they were high ball hitters, low ball hitters. How did you manage those guys through those tight narrowing conditions? Because really, when you're standing there so on a very tight narrow fairway, you're not feeling the wind, but as soon as that ball gets past
Or
the
it gets
tree
up in the
level,
trees. Yeah.
yeah, you all of a sudden now you're dealing with it. What were
See,
some of the things that you guys worked on to get through that?
Greg was such a penetrating ball hitter. It never affected him as much because he's such a flusher of the golf ball that he could hit it basically through the wind. So I saw him play. I actually really liked it when it was windy with him. Um, Windy conditions kind of suited his game because he was such a pure ball striker. Now, obviously, I wish he'd putt better, but he was such a pure ball striker into the wind that he hit some of the best shots I've ever seen into the wind. As long as I've caddied, he probably still has 3 or 4 of the best shots I've ever seen into the wind. Um, Jared Lyle was another one. He could manipulate the ball around the golf course very well. Again, into the wind. Daniel, not so much because he was a high ball hitter. So you could get yourself into a little bit of trouble with the high ball hitters. But again, you have to know that if it's going to make, sometimes it can be a 2.5 club difference.
Yeah.
3 club difference coming into 18, with wedges instead of, and 4 irons. It's a big difference. All of a sudden the carry on 18 was like, oh, it's 260. I've really got a nut one to get it over here into the wind. And that shot that Fitzpatrick hit on 18 was, if it wasn't for Gary Woodland, who holed a 4 iron from basically the same area, who probably had the shot of the year, because that is a very hard golf shot hitting into that hole, and especially with a 4 iron.
And that literally is what I wanted to kind of get into right next is the playoff communication between caddy and player. It changes from the round to the postseason to the playoff. What do you think with when Fitzy hit that shot to 10 feet? What's the conversation with Ted Allen or Ted Scott and Scotty in that moment? Like what are those guys going through? And then obviously Scotty hits a balloon ball.
Oh yeah, horrible.
What at that point do you just go, okay, we're just gonna have to try to knock it in? What's going on in that situation?
Well, he's still got a 10-footer, and it's a 10-footer is a 10-footer, and when a 10-footer to win a championship is a little different than a 10-footer with with your buddies. That's for certain. Obviously, it was a very disappointing shot from Scotty. I didn't expect that. I expected him to not bail out and like they both did in the regulation where they both hit it right of the green. I would have expected Scotty to put that middle of the green and give himself a chance at least. But I mean, in the playoff, I mean, it's just you've got to be aggressive in the playoff because your other players hit a 10-foot. There's no tomorrow. But he just hit a very very bad golf shot.
Yeah, and obviously Matt hit a phenomenal golf. Like you said, probably the shot of the year so far on tour.
Well, it would
And
have been except Gary Woodland hold one from the same area.
that's true. Yeah. Well,
But under pressure, different
I think
circumstance.
though under the circumstances and the pressure,
Yes.
um, you know, because that in turn then put the pressure on Scotty,
Yeah.
and I mean obviously Scotty didn't hit the ball he wanted to, but at the same time, I think when you look at what these guys were going through, I think Matt put his foot down on the pedal and said, I'm not going to last in a 2-3 hole playoff against Scotty Scheffler. I've got
The
to
one
take him out in hole one, and I think he executed his game plan.
the one thing he's playing really good golf at the moment, and he's got a great mentality. He's got a great fight. He's got grit. He just doesn't give up. He's not scared of playing the number one player in the world in a playoff. Some guys would be like, "Oh, I'm playing the number one guy in the world in the playoff." Some guys take it as a challenge. Matt Fitzpatrick took that as a challenge. I'm playing number one in the world, and I'm going to beat him.
Yeah, I mean, it was almost Ryder Cup, and I know that there was a little bit of noise around that. There was USA chants, and I think the crowd was behaved. I think Matt handled it perfectly. There was that Ryder Cup type vibe, and that's great. I think that's always good, but I think also the way everybody handled it was also even better.
I
Let me
think
ask
Matt
you.
Fitzpatrick is the new Ian Poulter.
He could very well be. He. I mean that shot was just.
Not flashy dressing or any flashing or anything like that, but just when the chips are down, and you're really ready to go. I mean, Ian Poulter is one of the greatest Ryder Cup players in history, and so I think he's heading down that path.
Well, Miguel Angel Jimenez also. That Sergio is a phenomenal Ryder Cup player. I mean, there's that dogged mentality in them that I'm just going to go and I am going to get into a dogfight with you and I'm going to beat you.
Yeah,
And that's something I think you can candidly say if you look at majority of the Team USA, they don't have that. They will
no.
have that this year for the President's Cup when Patrick Reed returns to the team.
Mm.
Um, Let me ask you this: how much of the tournament were you able to see? And really, what I want to get to is obviously Davis Love, his group, the Love Golf Design Group, is the one that did the renovation. What there there's some lengthening of the holes. I think 18 rebunkering. Um, Different green complexes. 14 comes to mind. 17 pot bunker. What what were some of the things that you saw that you were like, I heard about these changes. Eh, I saw them. Okay, or I saw them and I really don't like what they did.
I saw them, and I wasn't really perturbed by them. I thought it was some subtle changes more than anything. There was nothing dramatic, and you don't want to make that's such a good golf course. You don't want to make it dramatic. Like I said, the pot bunker was nice. 17's a hard tee shot anyway, especially when the wind's blowing.
Yeah,
Um, it's hard to get your depth on that hole because it's really kind of flat, and in the background is all the marsh and all that sort of stuff. So it's a difficult hole anyway. Yeah, I don't think the changes didn't bother me because they looked more subtle and cosmetic than anything than they really. And lengthening a hole doesn't bother me. The first probably could have used that anyway, so it wasn't a very long hole. It's a very soft start when you get off there at 1 and 2. Um, but yeah, no, for the change, and I'm not a big Davis Love design golf course fan. If you've ever been to Kintaloo Forest up there in Valdosta, that's not one of my favourite golf courses of his. But no, I overall I thought they did a pretty good job from what I'd seen, and from
yeah,
what I was reading in the feedback was pretty good on it. So
yeah. Looking at what the player feedback seemed to be very, I wouldn't say raving, but at the same time, you didn't see guys, just losing their minds either.
no,
So
because they didn't destroy the golf course. They didn't go crazy. They just made some subtle changes, and bunkering is always not. Sometimes you got to change some bunkering, and I get a little bit worried sometimes when they're changing greenside bunkers. I don't really get too fussed about. I don't really like them changing fairway bunkers as much. Sometimes they get a little bit crazy with fairway bunkers and making them too deep. I believe
yeah.
even if you hit it in a fairway bunker, you should still have a chance to get it on the green. You shouldn't be stuck under a lip. So, overall, I think they did a pretty good job.
All right. Well, we move on. The Zurich Classic, our team competition, are the only one on the PGA Tour. We head to TPC, Louisiana. Mick, my first
Yeah.
question: is this tournament on the schedule in 2027?
No.
Is there a team competition in 2027?
No. You see the field this week?
I did see the field. But
People,
again,
they're
I
not thrilled
think
by it. And it's disappointing because it's such a good tournament. Good
it
golf course. It's disappointing, and it used to be, and a lot of the players used to go there, and a lot of the top players used to go there. It was a great tournament. I loved it, enjoyed it, but they've just, yeah, it's not working.
Yeah, I think with the and next week having another signature event in between another signature event, and then on top of the Masters, and then on, I mean, it's one after another after another. I would hate to say, I mean, I'm not a team golf guy, but this is a fun event, and especially in the format in which they play. Obviously, today, best ball, tomorrow, alternate shot. I think those are fun. I mean, you saw some really low scores. I mean, it looked like a foursome, a scramble foursome that you and I normally play against out there shooting 58 today to 14 under to lead the tournament. Um, and and then again, tomorrow you're going to see scores right around par or a couple under, just because alt shot is, if you got both guys aren't playing, one guy isn't playing good, you're in trouble.
Alt shot's a tough one. Yeah, I don't know how the PGA Tour can fix this. Maybe they need a little break, maybe the mid-season, very similar to what the All-Star break is and stuff like that. Maybe they need an All-Star couple-week break. This would be a good tournament after the Masters, maybe after Hilton Head. Go, okay, let's just regroup a little bit, give all the guys a chance to settle down a bit. But again, there's a lot of players out there who are craving this chance to try to win and give themselves a chance next year. But
Well, this is
I
almost
would
like
love to see it.
an opposite field event in essence.
Yes, yeah, I would love to see maybe a 2 week break after Hilton Head, give the players a chance to regroup, go home with their families, chill, and then maybe make this one the first week, the first tournament back after, so then the players can go, okay, hey, this is a good start after my 2 week break to get back into it again before a signature event, and then you would probably get, I think you might get some more players and more of the top players. But it's sad because I love New Orleans, it's a great town. Even though I'm a Falcons fan, I don't really want to say. Let's say it's great food. Let's not say it's great town.
I was gonna
Great
say,
food.
yeah. I mean,
It's got some great spots. If you take Bourbon Street out of the equation, which I'm not a fan of, there's some really great restaurants in that place. The people are nice. The golf course is wonderful. It's just that's one of the more friendly golf tournaments I've ever gone to.
yeah.
Where the police officers at the locker room door would let the caddies in the locker room because they didn't care, and they just and just great guys, and it was always a fun tournament to go to, apart from the food on the range and stuff like that. But no, I really enjoyed that golf tournament, and it's sad if it does go. But I think the PGA Tour have to really maybe consider a break middle of the year and have maybe an All-Star break, and not they're going to play an All-Star sort of thing, but have a
Did you
break.
ever have one of the signature alligator sausage po' boys?
Oh, 100%. And stop and get the daiquiri on the way, get the drive-through daiquiri on the way home. Oh, of course.
Boom. Um, what are okay? And then I know you mentioned the field. Obviously, I thought one of the interesting pairings, Brooks and Shane Lowry. Those two got off to a relatively rough start today. Same with the Fitzpatrick brothers. It took them a little while to find themselves there until late in the back nine. Um, what are some teams that you're watching right now? I know who your picks are, but what are some of the teams though that, and some of these young guys that you're watching that may be jumping up for you?
I honestly, I went through the field and I was more looking at some of the guys who hadn't played on the tour for a long time, like Chez Reavie playing with Jonathan Bird and stuff like that. I was more interested in like, wow, that guy hasn't been on the tour for a while, and that was the one that got me. I was like, I was looking through some of these names, and I was like, there's some good groups. Like Brant Snedeker's playing with Keith Mitchell, and it was good to look at the teams. But again, I was looking to see, okay, who's the number one,
Yeah.
who's the number one team, and then I watched an interview with Shane Lowry after after the Masters, saying, "Yeah, I'm playing Heritage," and he says, "Are you looking for a break after Heritage?" And begrudgingly said, "No, I'm playing New Orleans." And even the commentator was like, "You really? You're playing New Orleans? You're going to Masters, Hilton Head, and then the New
Yeah, and then
Orleans?"
he's gonna head to the Cadillac next.
Yeah, and then he was kind of shocked and was like, "So yeah, I don't know. It was just." They need to do something about it. I mean, there's a lot of young guys. And look, it's going to be nice to watch some of the young kids and see how they handle it and things like that. Because, again, I love that golf course. It's a great track.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into it. You're I must have just showed up at the racetrack out here.
Sounds like it.
Okay, picks. Who are you going with this week?
Oh, I can't remember now. Hang on. Let me find it.
I
Oh
got
yeah,
it.
Matt Wallace.
You went with the English Italian duo of Matt Wallace and Marco Penge.
Marco Penge, and they shot what they shoot today, 8 under,
8 under. Yeah.
the same as your boys.
And yes, and I went with the guys that have won 3 tournaments in the last 5 weeks.
Yeah,
The
good thinking. Yeah,
Fitzpatricks.
good. Yeah, go out on a limb on that one, didn't you?
I did not go out on a limb. I looked at it. Here was my challenge. I looked at the field the same way you did. I was not blown away by it. And even though I would have loved to have said I will take Brooks Koepka and Shane Lowry, the fact that these two have never played together, this is not the format in which you start experimenting. Let's go out and I think these two guys would be a blast to be out on the golf course with. I don't think this is what this wasn't the tournament for them. So I did. I went with the safe bet. I went with the Fitzpatrick brothers. Hey, listen, you know what? I got killed last week. JT Poston finished T60. You had a great week with Patrick Cantlay, T9. And unfortunately, you and I lost points to that guy named Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah, we did. Wasn't very good. Hey,
All right.
special shout out to Chris Kirk and Patrick Kennedy today, who finished even par in a 2-man scramble. Bless their hearts.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Stick around after the sun sets. Twin Peaks is open really late. Wind down with bourbon and late night bites.
It's a good thing you didn't go with your guy Chris Kirk on this one.
2 PGA Tour players who shot even par in a 2-man scramble.
Yeah, it's pretty tough.
With 2 bogeys. Very good.
Okay. From one TPC to another, we head to TPC Sugarloaf, but before we get there, Mick, our guy, Stuart Sink.
Man, he's raking in the money now.
And it was good to see. Obviously, Ben Crane and Stewart battled Sunday. Stewart goes and shoots 63 with an eagle, 9 birdies. I have no idea what else to say. 7 birdies. I have what else to say. I texted Stewart after and I said, you know, congratulations. And he goes, I think I should have saved a few birdies for this upcoming week. And we got a good chuckle since he won by 6.
Yeah,
Nick,
it was a comfortable victory.
And he was not leading going into Sunday. Let me ask you this though. And I know you've watched a little bit. You mentioned Greg Owen. Greg played a phenomenal tournament. As a matter of fact, you and I were texting. I even said to you, I put Owen is on fire emoji. And you went, he is. Let me ask you this. What do you see going on right now with the Champions Tour? I mean, these guys are firing on also. Doesn't look like they've missed a step from the tour.
No, I mean, that's it. I mean, I think a lot of them embrace the opportunity now to be able to play and feel like, you know, now they're on a competitive level, the same competitive level as the guys they're playing with. And it's, you know, a lot of these guys know they can't compete on the tour now against the Scotty Schefflers and the Rorys and stuff like that. So when they get to 47, 48, you know, they know they're going to, a lot of these guys know they're already qualified for the Champions Tour. So they're chomping at the bit for the competition again to be able to do that. And, you know, a lot of these guys who first come out in their 50s, you know, will dominate a little bit. And, you know, there's been guys who, like Hale Lerman, dominated for a long time. And, you know, what about Bernhard Langer, 68-year-old shooting 66? You know, like
Angel Jimenez playing out of his mind. I mean,
phenomenal. But they know they can still compete every week, and they feel great about it. And that's the thing. It's fun to watch. And Stuart Sink is just, he's got the confidence level going great now, and he's ready to roll, and he's playing great. And I can't see why he couldn't win again at Sugarloaf, because I mean, it was his home track for a long, long time.
Well, and now you're starting to see the younger guys that like you and I, well, the guys that you caddied for. Obviously Greg's out there. You've got Justin Leonard. You've got Ben Crane now. I mean, the the field just Zach Johnson is now out there. The field just gets better and better every single week, and all of a sudden, you see a Stuart Sink though. Like literally, he had one win on the Champions Tour when he sat with us a year ago. He now has 5 victories, a major championship. Oh, and by the way, he was the Charles Schwab Cup champion.
Yeah, he's doing okay.
I did text him. I said, I am going to take some credit for it. Mick and I will take full credit for the success. And I can't wait to have, he's coming back on. We're going to get through the Mitsubishi this week. He is the tournament host. So, Mick, he made
He's
some
gonna be a busy man.
executive changes. Did you hear this?
He what?
He made some changes this week.
What did he do?
Well, it is the only tour tournament on tour, both PGA and the Champions Tour, to play the modified Stableford scoring system.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mick, I'm going to ask you this. From a caddy's perspective, can you give a definition of what the modified Stableford scoring system is for our listeners that may not know what it is?
See, I don't know what the modified Stableford is. I know what Stableford is because Stableford's a big game here in Australia where you're a member of clubs, you play Stableford, you play par, you play stroke. They're basically the 3 games you play. Par is you get 2 points for a par, 3 points for a bogey. 3 points for a birdie, 4 points for an eagle. I think it might be 5 for an eagle in this.
Yeah, it's 5 points now. Yep.
Yeah, I think it might be good. And
-1 for a bogey.
-1 for a bogey. Now, I don't know if double bogeys is 0. Whereas in regular Stableford, double bogeys would be a 0.
Yeah, I think there may be a penalty for a double. I don't have in the notes.
I'm sure there would be. I think double bogeys or worse would be 0. Bogeys would be -1, 2 for a par, 3 for a birdie, and 5 for an eagle.
So let me ask you this, because you've seen this tournament in person, and you've watched it for several years. Living here in Georgia. What does this scoring system? Who does it benefit?
I don't think I think it's. I like Stableford. I think Stableford's a fun game to play. A lot of Americans don't probably play it and don't understand it, which makes it sometimes a little difficult. Like sometimes you're going to look on the score in the morning and you see someone's plus 16 and they're leading. Well, they've got 16 points. So I think that confuses a little bit of people, and I hope during the telecast they try to explain it and what it's all about and stuff like that. But it really doesn't change things. I've caddied at Colorado, at Castle Pines when they had the Stableford system there. Great golf course too, by the way. Very fun not fun to walk, but a very good golf course.
I never walked it. I rode a cart.
I did 36 holes there one day. It was a wonderful treat there. To finish the tournament there on a Sunday, 36 holes. That's probably the hardest 36 holes I've ever walked in my life. But the
cap had to be burned.
The Stableford system is fun. It's just you still have to hit the regular golf shots. It's just different scoring. That's all.
Is there a little bit of a different strategy though? Because you could technically be up by 2, but on a par 5, for example, you lay up, your opponent goes for it. All of a sudden, you could be down 1.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's not doing it, but that would be like making eagle to make an eagle to to par. It's a little different. You get the extra bonus for making eagles. So it promotes maybe a little bit more aggressive play, especially down the stretch. If you ever go back and have a look at, I can't remember who it was. It was Rich Beam when he finally won. He won in Colorado and he was cruising down the stretch, and I can't remember who was it. It was who was catching him, but he might have been Steve Lowry, who he held a pitch shot from the fairway for 5 points, and then he knocked another one close, and it was but it became really, really exciting because of the point system, and it was different because he could make those 5 points to catch up.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: who do you think out there this week wins? here at home at the TPC Sugarloaf?
Cameron Percy from Australia.
Your guy, Cameron Percy.
Got Hodgie on the bag. Yeah, he's got a good Aussie. He's got a good Aussie friend of mine on the bag, Hodgie. And I think he's ready. He's ready to break out. He played well last year, but he had a mate on the bag, and sometimes when you have a mate on the bag, it's okay, but it doesn't help you do through the hard parts with the hard green reading and some of the little things. But Hodgie's been a pro golfer himself, teaching. He's been out there. He knows it, and so I'm looking forward to those guys having a pretty good year. So I'm gonna take him as mine this week.
I like Zach Johnson.
I'll go out on a limb again.
Well, I would no. Going out on a limb would have been Stuart Sink. I will be.
Wait till I tell him. Wait till I tell him that you didn't pick him.
Well, he will tell me not to pick him 2 weeks in a row. Come on now, seriously. What are the odds?
Mm-hmm.
I think he finished fourth. I think he finished fourth last year.
Well, he knows that course very well.
Jerry Kelly won last year. Jerry Kelly plays well out here. So same with Stephen Ames. Those guys play really well.
Yeah, I love Stephen Ames. Good guy.
Your buddy. Okay. Last one here. We head to the Chevron Championship, the LPGA Tour's first major of the year. These guys, the ladies are heading back to Houston to Memorial Park. Mick, we just saw Memorial Park a couple weeks ago.
Gary Woodland.
Gary Woodland, yes. Let me ask you this, because that's a big ballpark. They're playing over 6,800 yards. That course was dominated by the big hitters and high ball hitters.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, and Nelly was great in saying it this week. She actually, a reporter asked her a fair question, I think a little bit naive question. Which of the guys would she call to talk about strategy through the golf course? And she was very candid to say, well, we don't hit it as far as them, and we don't apex the ball as high as them. So it's a different golf course, and we play a different game.
It's a great answer.
Fantastic answer. Let me ask you this, Mick. Knowing that, and she's 100% spot on, what do you think, what is the strategy out there at Memorial Park for the ladies this week, and what are we going to see a little bit different from the golf course? There's a lot of undulation out there. What are we going to see from the golf course with what the ladies are? And obviously, I don't think we're going to see 21 under winning a major.
You won't see 21 under. You'll see a lot of different shots this week. Again, it all depends on how the golf course is playing. If it's playing hard and fast, it'll make the 6,800 probably 65 or 6,600. It'll be a lot of landing areas. Obviously, you're going to be coming in with a lot longer clubs than they normally would. A lot of hybrids, a lot of fairway woods and things like that. So you might see a lot of strategies of hitting the ball short of the greens and running it up, as opposed to trying to land it on greens that are hard and having it shoot through the back. It's going to have to be a course of strategy. If you're going to miss it, where do you miss it? And I think that'll come into play a lot. I'm looking forward to watching Hannah Green from Australia, who won last week, who was 6 behind with not many to go and end up getting winning on the playoffs. See, I'd like to just throw these drains in there occasionally.
I do. As a matter of fact, I was going to ask you, who do you have this week?
Hannah Green.
I was hoping you were going to say Hannah Green. I will tell you, that's who I was picking, actually. Obviously, Mao, who won last year, is literally listed as a dark horse for this week. Obviously, Nelly Court is playing some great golf. She's been in the final round, pairing every tournament this year. Obviously, you can never sleep on Gina Titaku, who's world number one. I think one of the challenges, and I heard an interview with the chief marketing officer of the LPGA Tour, and she made a very good comment, and that's the reality of where their tour is. And she's got a big challenge on her hand is promoting and marketing these girls. It's not like you can market a true superstar. There's 30 to 35 women every single week that can win these golf tournaments.
Yeah,
they're all that good.
Yeah, and it's
and
fun.
They're all equally good.
Yeah, it's fun to watch if they promote it the right way and stuff like that. I enjoyed watching it last week. It was fun. I sat here. Obviously, it was early in the morning here, and I was sitting here with my dad, and we were watching it. So yeah, it was cool to watch, and it was a good finish.
Well, since you're going with Hannah, I'm going to take Nelly. We'll go Aussie versus America. We'll see what happens. Buddy,
Yeah, you need to get
do you
back
want to
inside.
join? Do you want to join us at 10:00 tonight? When Chris and I jump on, we're gonna have a special edition of Tales from the Tips from the Miracle for Mom golf outing.
Let's see how many drinks I have tonight. This is a big weekend for me. Friday nights are usually a fairly large night, but tomorrow is Anzac Day, which is our Memorial Day.
Yep.
So I'll be at the dawn service for the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps thing. I'll be at the 5:30, 6 a.m. dawn service, and like last year, the first beer usually rolls out around 7 o'clock in the morning. So, and last year we started at 7 o'clock in the morning and we finished at 8 o'clock in the evening.
I
don't want to.
remember that.
I do not want to do that this year. I actually would like to go and have a couple of beers in the morning, then come home and go back to bed, and then. Because my football team plays, my Collingwood play the big Anzac Day traditional game against their rivals Essendon tomorrow. So I'd like to be able to be somewhat coherent for that game, but we'll see what happens.
Well, you're invited. Obviously, this is your podcast as well. I was trying to give you a little bit of time off. We will be out at the Mitsubishi Classic this weekend as well. I'm putting Fortney to work, buddy. I got to keep him busy. He misses you.
Yeah, miss the boys.
We all miss you. As a matter of fact, even Billy told me that
Stop it.
he misses you. I did tell him about your new gig, and he said it's funny you gave him a hard time for sitting on his, since that's all you're going to be doing.
Yeah, and paid well for it though.
Anything else you got for us? Or by the way, Fernando Mendoza, the first round, the first overall pick in this year's NFL draft.
Oh, perfect. And Kirk Cousins will be a backup to him. Good job.
There you go. All right, buddy.
All right, go back and watch the rest of the Hawks game. Enjoy the enjoy the hockey. Enjoy the Avalanche. Maybe I don't know if they're playing tonight. Or
Yeah,
still trying to repair,
Avs Kings, 10:00 tonight. I'll be at home.
They're trying to repair the glass. They're trying to repair the glass, and your fans were smashing the other day. There, whatever they were doing.
Well, they're heading to L.A. We'll see what
That
shows up.
is over.
Well, buddy.
Go back and enjoy it. It's got dark out there all of a sudden. It's looking like it's evening. It's evening.
I was going to say it's getting a little dark. I'm going to close us out. Are you? Thanks for teeing up with us on Tales from the Tips. If you're catching us on YouTube, make sure you give us a like and hit that subscribe button. Drop us a note. Love to hear from you. Mick, you can find us on all the socials, Instagram, X, and your favorite,
TikTok.
And of course, you can find Tales from the Tips wherever you find your favorite podcast, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and now we are available on the iHeart podcast platform. Just search for Tales from the Tips under podcast, hit the plus button, give us a like, and enjoy. Mick?
Yes, sir.
I know the 14 people that are watching on Twitch are enjoying this thing live. You can catch us live.
14?
14! Can you believe that? We've jumped the number.
Love you all. Is that a heart? I don't know what I'm doing.
That's your heart emoji. Buddy, maybe I talk to you tonight or tomorrow morning. For me, tonight for you. If not, I'm going to try to play well. I've got Dad's new, regripped Ping Zings with me.
I'm looking forward to that.
We're going to have some social, and I'm going to try to keep them straight and try to knock those putts in and keep my scores low.
And don't try to hit a 4-iron from 220 ever again, please.
I will not. I promise you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for teeing up with us on Tales from the Tips. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.